Want to tell the audience what a Merkaba is? I know Asha and Nadine's videos on Merkaba.
You know, so
Well, what is the Merkaba?
The way that the Merkaba is based on geometry, sacred geometry, and then what you do is you learn the Platonic solids, and you learn how to basically put them around your body, and then to put one on top of the other until you have a really, really big structure around you, which is supposed to be your own ship.
So you can actually fly with that, I mean?
Well, you can take trips.
With your own mind,
I would say with your mind or whatever.
I remember Miguel Serrano, he wrote to South America, you become the UFO.
So the Merkaba, when you, you know, and this is I think it's a Kabbalistic teaching, but that group had Kabbalah, Christianity, it had things from yoga, it had, like Hindu beliefs, and I mean, he traveled the world in different ashrams and stuff, and he had different teachers.
Can we put a link below this video of this David Livingston?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's dead now, of course.
And I would love to know, I would love to see any of the people that were in that group, because it doesn't exist anymore. But I would love to see the people that are in that group.
They're probably still here in Vancouver.
I doubt it. I think it's gone.
No, but the people are probably still in Vancouver.
Yeah, some of the people are probably still here.
Well, obviously,
now I know years later, one of the women who I used to live with in the women's house, her name was Marcy. She contacted me. I don't know how she found me. This was years and years later. And she told me that they had taken her child away from her, and that was what they were doing.
The cult?
Yeah, the cult was taking the children from people, and then maligning the mothers, saying that they were, unfit mothers, neglectful mothers, whatever, I don't know.
Where'd the baby go then?
And she was trying to do a whole court thing, and she needed witnesses. But the problem was that I couldn't be a witness because I wasn't around when I met her. She didn't have children, and I wasn't in the group anymore when they started taking these children. So I wouldn't have been a good witness.
Do you think it's child sacrifice?
I don't think so. I think it's more like about mind control, I didn't ever see any of that dark kind of stuff. Why I know that he is a left-hand path is because when I left the order, I left it with a woman that had already left. She was a little bit older than me and very well connected with the media. And her name was Petra. And she had already left the order, and she was making moves to expose them. So because she had a fantastic job. I won't say what job she had, but she had a great job that she loved. Very creative job. Mm-hmm. And she didn't want to leave the job. And basically, he got everybody to leave their jobs and go on welfare. He would collect the check.
Of course, I'm just thinking mathematically, why not just get money from people's jobs? But it doesn't make sense.
No, because he made so much money from sending people out to canvas.
Yeah, but why not just get money from her income, tax her huge, and get her to give her income to him?
Because every kid that went out canvassing from door to door would probably bring in $400 or more a day.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
In 1970?
Yeah, people were giving a lot for to get kids off the street and stuff like that.
Well, I can start selling flowers tomorrow.
Because, this was the end of the hippie era.
The hippie era.
Right? So there were a lot of kids that had run away from home. People wanted to help. And so we had a center that was helping kids.
So this guy was smart.
He was very smart. And very crooked. He had been kicked out of Creston, BC, and I don't know where else he'd been kicked out of, but when we met him, we didn't know anything about that. We got into it.
Kicked out for what, though?
For fraud. Kicked out for fraud. So, some kind of, financial fraud. So, when we met him, of course, we gave everything to him. And then they split up my marriage. And when I left, this lady, Petra, had been in touch with CBC, Barbara Frum, all the different coast-to-coast television and radio stations. And she was like, great, come with me, let's do this. So we did interviews about the thing, and they took their religious license away.
What year was this?
This was 1971.
Oh.
72, I guess. It was finally 72. But we started doing the interviews in 1971. So basically, they lost their cash cow because they lost their religious license. And then they went after her. They had people following her, breaking into Petra, my friend.
Oh.
They went after her. They were getting into her apartment and everything. And we actually went into hiding.
Did they rearrange your furniture?
They broke a few things. Things were messed up. And then she would see them following her, and it was making her really nervous. And they pushed her around because of what she had done at one point. It didn't happen to me, but it happened to her. And so we ended up leaving the city, and we went into hiding for a year.
Together?
Together. We both left the city because we were scared. These people were very, very evil.
And all this time, like, he could still conjure up these UFOs, you mean?
Yes.
I guess getting back to that, my
okay, so
conclusion
when they had their religious license taken away, they weren't allowed to canvass. The kids weren't allowed to canvass anymore, and so their cash cow ended. And they called me in to do a tribunal on me. I asked for my things to be returned to me. I had automatic writing, paintings, songs, my music, and I had all my spiritual things that I do and that I did.
What do you mean by tribunal? What's that?
Well, they held a tribunal to blame me, to judge me for what I had done to them. And in the tribunal, they had made these two judges' chairs, like two king and queen chairs, and they were up on a stand, and I was down here, the supplicant.
Does that sound like Masonic to you?
It was a little bit of everything.
I guess the audience is asking, why did you go? I mean, if you quit, why would you go to
Because I wanted my things back.
Oh, you're trying to...
They had all of my writing. They had all of my guitar things. They had my songs. They had my pictures, my automatic writing.
Is this before you went into hiding or after?
Before. This is when we knew things were bad. So I said, I want my things back from
Is this after you went to the press already, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Right. And I was trying to get my things out of the house, and they wouldn't let me into the house, right, to get my stuff. So, I asked them formally if I could come and get my stuff, and they gave me a date when they would bring me my things. So they brought me my guitar. That's all I got. They kept all of my writing, all of everything. And when I've told you that I'm trying to write this book forever, they took the book that I was writing then and all the things that I had written before.
Was it handwritten or typed?
I had a typewriter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Typed, you mean?
Yeah, and I had lots of handwritten things like journals and, I did meditation every day. I was completely like a monk. I was completely immersed.
A nun, that's good.
Yeah.
Wow. 19 or 17?
Yeah, 19.
Wow.
So I was completely immersed in religious, in the spiritual life. Celibate.
That's good.
Celibate, vegetarian, morning prayers, I was into it.
Too bad you weren't in a Buddhist monastery instead of some cult.
But I didn't know that these people were bad because the outer shell looked like they were good people. But then when I went to this tribunal, they really, really were severe, let's say. And they only gave me back my guitar, and they kept everything else. And then when I left there, actually I demanded to have my things back. And he told me to go back the next day. So I went back the next day, and I caught him painting the entire space black and putting red and silver symbols all over the walls.
Your space?
The space that I had run.
You mean your room?
No, the space that I had run, the artisan where I taught. The space where I taught, my workshop, black with silver and red symbols all over the walls. I don't even know what symbols they were, but they were probably.
So he knew what he was doing.
Oh my God, yeah. And he did a terrible black magic ritual on me, and they put a curse on me that lasted many years. And
So you believe this curse was bona fide?
I believe that they were real black magicians, very powerful.
But you're saying the curse on you was, you actually felt it and it was real?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Think it's on you right now?
No. No, absolutely not. I've done a lot of work. I've done a lot of work to disengage from all of that. And besides, the good thing about it is that I was never part of the dark magic that would happen there. I was only part of the UFO part of the group, which was the outer, how they got people in. That's not really what they were doing, right? They were doing very different things. Anyway, my friend and I we took their license away. We had the result of our expose was that they took their religious license away.
Are you glad you did it?
Yes. I'm glad I did it. I mean, I would have never thought of doing it, but my friend was very well connected in the media, and she was able to do it.
Wow. I still think what you guys were seeing were beings, angels, devas, and not flying saucers.
Maybe demons. Maybe he was calling demons.
Well, same thing, yeah.
You know,
Asuras, demons, jealous gods, whatever.
Yeah. So it took me a long, long time to deprogram from this, but my friend was very good, and she had a counselor, and we worked with people to try and deprogram from the cult. And eventually, it was all good, and I went back to university, and and then I went back to art school, and I lived my life. But that was a very bad experience, and and I learned very little about UFOs except that we could see them. And my husband and I, we went on a camping trip in the interior, and we saw them everywhere. Like, they were just all around us, at that time. They were.
Now, you're saying your husband and you split up, though.
Yes.
So when you say you saw them interior.
This is before we got split up in the thing. We took a camping trip.
Wow, because I know other people saw them in the interior, like where in the interior?
Vernon, we were in Vernon.
So
and
can
we
you
were staying
describe
at
it?
the
Like,
quarry.
it's good to describe sightings, like big size, shape.
The only sightings that I can say that happened at that time were far away sightings where you see a ship, it's stationary for a little bit, and then it does a few tricks, and then it goes. We didn't see anything up close,
Yeah, but did you see it during daylight or at night?
At night.
Never during daylight.
No.
Really?
No.
So it was like a light, like a moving star kind of light kind of thing.
Well, you can tell that they're not a moving star because they.
Well, stars don't move. We know that.
That's right. They're not a moving star and they're not a satellite because they move up and down, they hide, they come back, they go that way, they zip around.
We know stars and planets do not move. We've established that.
Right. So they zip around very quickly. They kind of do a show for you.
Zigzag?
Yeah, sometimes zigzag, sometimes, up and down. I mean, they do a little show for you to show you that they're there.
But that's pretty common, right?
Yeah,
Zigzag,
very
yes.
common.
Yeah.
But that's all that would ever happen with my ex-husband, that I ended up having to divorce when I left the group. But yeah, so that was, and I decided at that point
Yeah, how many
that I
times
was
do you
not going to look into any more UFO things ever.
But how many sightings? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50? How many times do you think?
Well, I would say that from the balcony,
This is night and 28th, 33rd.
when we were at his house before he had the Shaughnessy mansion that none of us were allowed to go to, he was on 28th and Night in that area.
Is the
in
house
building.
still, same house still there?
I think the house is still
Can you
there.
identify it today?
I think, yeah, I could, yeah.
So we can get a picture of it.
So that house had a balcony at the back, and we would eat dinner all together when it was a small group.
How many?
I think we were probably 14 to 20 people that would come to these things. And, you know, the people that would come to these things, we were already very much in the group. We lived in houses together, and
You describe it as a cult?
absolutely,
Sounds like it.
absolutely. It wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking for information about what happened to me when I was 14. I never got answers from him.
Completely different situation.
Never got answers from him at
Do you
all.
think you got
ever.
involved with some left-hand path? This guy was conjuring up spirits.
Yeah, and using our energies to do whatever it was that he was
So,
really
so how
doing.
many times do you think at the balcony you saw UFOs?
Maybe 10 times, maybe 10 dinners, maybe a little less.
And how many times in Vernon?
In Vernon, we spent 5 or 6 days, and we saw them every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But like I said, not up close and personal like what happened to me when I was 14. And Bob didn't have any UFO experiences where he remembered being abducted or anything like that. He had just always seen them and moving around, and he knew they were there. So it was a big interest of his. He wanted to know what this stuff was. Usually people who see a lot of UFOs are abducted, but he didn't have any memory of it, you know, at all. And so, so that was that, and then I just went to university, and I got my degrees, and then I got married again, and I have 3 kids, and pretty normal life until the harmonic convergence. When that happened in 1987, I think it was 87. And then, oh my God, so much activity happened to me. I had a Kundalini rising, spontaneous Kundalini rising.
You want to tell the audience, what do you mean by harmonic convergence?
Well, they can look it up. I mean, I'm not an astrologer, so no.
But what is it? What is a harmonic convergence?
The harmonic convergence was apparently a lineup of planets that they were lining up in a certain way that that put us more in touch with the galactic sun,
Wow.
the central sun. And then there was a harmonic convergence was the first one, and then there was a harmonic what was the next one? I can't. And 2012 was also a lineup. 2012
This is
was actually,
1987.
yeah.
Because I went through perhaps the worst depression of my life in December of 1987.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't remember what year the convergence happened, but it was summer or fall, early fall. It was warm.
87, you think? 1987. Wow.
Yeah. If you look in your phone,
It wasn't a good year for me.
you know, I can't get on I can't get on my phone here without doing a bunch of things, but if you grab your phone, we could Wikipedia it, and I can tell you what that was and what the next one was. Anyway,
Well, I think the audience
A
wants to
lot
know
of people-
what is it. You should,
Okay,
so
but
it's a
I-
lineup of planets. That's all we need to know.
yeah, I'm not an astrologer, so I'm not going to go into stuff that I don't know. But the harmonic convergence was a time when supposedly new energy was coming to the planet to help us to move on to the, the end of the certain century. So, always around those years, if you look back at other centuries, in the 80s, 90s, at the end of a century, a lot of stuff happens. Beautiful art happens, and all kinds of groups and spiritual groups and different kinds of thinking, because people are really, really close to coming to the end of that 1,000 years, right?
Oh. Well, I remember 1988 was a very good year for me. 1988 was.
Yeah, well, when some of the best artistic movements have happened in the mid 80s, and
Yeah, the new wave music of the early 80s was great stuff. I was in early
exactly,
20s, I
it's
loved
just an incredible time because you're almost over your century, and this is the last little bit of where you can make a difference in that century before it's the new one, right? So I guess it was special, and a lot of people were getting together and doing prayer, and a lot of different groups formed around that time. And I had these crazy experiences. I had joined a group in Vancouver to develop my psychic gifts because I think possibly my experience that I'd had when I was 14 and even before then had increased my psychic ability. And so I wanted to make good use of that, become a healer. And I joined a group here in Vancouver. It was called the Vancouver Human Potential Center. The Vancouver Human Potential Center. I joined that group. And I was there learning polarity training, learning how to do past life regression, learning how to do all different kinds of healing and
What year?
and different things. That was in 1987. But that year, I had, separate from the group, I had the Kundalini rising experience during one of my own meditations at home. So, that opened me up again to all of this alien stuff, it seems. And I started having some really vivid dreams. What do they call those dreams?
Lucid dreams?
I started having lucid dreams. Like, lucid dreams where when I woke up, I wasn't sure, if the butterfly was dreaming that it was a man or the man was dreaming it was a butterfly. It was exactly that,
Yeah,
right?
pretty powerful.
I didn't know if that dream was reality or my bed where I was waking up was reality. That's how powerful they
You
were.
mean just in those minutes when you wake up, you just at that time.
Right. It
So
was
you got
like,
to-
it seemed like I had jumped a dimension or that I had been in such a real world. They're not normal dreams.
You
They're
think you
very
were
different.
in another dimension?
Possibly, yeah. And I attribute that to the aliens. I attribute that to my light brothers who came back into my life to help me during this time when there was already really, really good, energy to be had. Right? I think that's when they came back into my life and helped me to make use of this
So this
energy.
indicates that the aliens in the higher realms are aligned with the cosmos, the stars, the planets. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
I think so. Yeah,
I believe it. I mean, it makes sense.
I think that they're very aware of, Astronomy comes from astrology, and astrology was practiced since ancient times. And people, they didn't just use it to navigate, they used it for divination and all
Maybe it
kinds of
comes from
things.
aliens, or ancient civilizations, who knows?
Yeah, and so yeah, I had this Kundalini rising that was an automatic rising, and it was pretty powerful. And again, the same as with my abduction, I had no idea what to do with this. I didn't know anything enough about it. I wasn't a yogi master. You know, I hadn't been practicing for 20 years to have the Kundalini rising. It just happened.
Wow.
And so that, again, that left me with a new thing to study and to learn about for the rest of my life, just like abduction. So now I have to, you know, I have the abduction experience, which I've researched for all of my life. And now in 1987, I had the Kundalini rising, and that has been such an interesting experience to have. And so these two things really, really changed my perspective.
So we took a jump from 1972 to 1987.
Well, from 1972...
I guess it's good to go chronologically through your life, like that. We did the first 17 years.
From 1972, when I found that these people were bad magicians, and I left the order, and I left all of that behind, I went to school. I got my...
you already mentioned normal life.
I went normal life. I went to school, I got married, I had kids.
So you said there's nothing significant UFO-wise until now you're in 1987.
1987 was another significant point when all of these crazy things started happening. If you recall, in the last time that I was talking about when I was little, I was being taught to fly and to jump and broad jump, and I did incredibly crazy, stupid things. Well, in my dreams in 1987, I was teaching children how to fly in some other dimension. And
so you're about 34 years old then.
yeah. And you know, my psychic gifts were significant, I would say.
So if you're teaching other people, do you think maybe you're abducted on a craft and actually teaching people in real time?
I think that, you know, a lot of people are starting to think that these alien abductions are actually moving you from one dimension to another, and I believe that. I'm one of those people who believes that when these things are happening, you're actually maybe not on another planet, but you're in a different time frame or a different dimension, different place, right?
Well, this is your video. This is about your views. This is your video.
Well, you know, I'm not certain. I mean, I haven't written the book about the truth. I'm seeking the truth. I'm a seeker. I haven't found all the answers. If I found all the answers...
right? Maybe the government has all the answers, but we don't.
If I found all the answers, then I'd be done. I'd probably be off planet by now. Right? But I haven't. I'm still seeking. I'm still searching and hoping that I come upon the truth. I think I've come upon many truths, and
thank you.
and that they have become part of my own philosophy on things.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm not going to tell anybody that, you know, God told me this and there it is, you know, or that, you know, I'm forming some new religion. Absolutely not. You know, what I have learned more than anything, and what I believe more than anything, is that these spiritual paths that we have, whether it includes Kundalini rising, whether it includes abduction, being in a cult, or even having a mystical experience if you're a Catholic or something, these are personal things. That these are stepping stones in your own spiritual growth, right? And I really truly believe that as we follow along, whatever comes our way, that we learn to deal with it. Some of it is traumatic. We have to learn to deal with the trauma. You know, my abduction was traumatic. and I've had to learn how to deal with that. I still have more questions than answers about it. But as far as the Kundalini rising goes, it's brought me to a brand new field of study.
Yeah.
Actually, you know, and even the masters can't really explain it. They can't really explain it until you have it.
Yeah.
Until you go through it, you actually don't understand.
It's like an experience. You have to experience it.
It's the most bodily experience. I've had 3 children. I can tell you that that's a bodily experience. It's an animal, instinctual, kind of very...
What, giving birth?
Yes, very animal, right?
Yeah.
You're just like any other mammal. You're having
Yeah.
this experience. Kundalini rising is more physical than having a baby.
Holy smokes.
Okay? It's not something that happens in your head. It's truly physical through every part of your being.
Wow.
And you feel it in every part of your
Can you
being.
describe it? Like, is it tingling? Is it vibration or what?
What happened to me with that is that I was chanting the vowels. I got into a thing of chant. My meditation was, you know, chanting
Well,
and
which
chanting.
religion?
No religion. Like I said, I believe every person has their own
Yeah,
path.
but which vowels? It's not A, B, C, D.
A-E-I-O-U.
But why? Why those?
Lots of different religions chant them.
Yeah, but the audience is wondering which lineage, which teacher, where'd you get it
No
from?
lineage.
Where'd you get it from?
I
then?
don't follow gurus.
Where'd you
I
get
had
it
a
from?
bad experience with gurus, and that's it for gurus. I'm my guru. I am my own
I
guru.
guess I'm curious, where'd you get it from then?
Okay, I got it from my own guru in my head
Oh.
that I wanted to chant the vowels.
Oh, maybe you downloaded it? Was it downloaded?
Possibly, I would say I get downloads. But, okay, so I started to do that, and I hit a certain note that I've never hit again. I guess it was the way my throat was at that very moment, but it hit a note. And it opened the gates. It opened the gates to this Kundalini rising. And all of a sudden, I heard a roar. It was like, you know, inside my body, and heat. And I was like, oh my God, it's happening. And as it was going up, there was so much heat, and it was fast but slow at the same time. It was like slow motion but fast. It's going through your body. You can feel it going up through your body. But you're very aware of like a different time awareness where it's super fast, but at the same time it's slow motion. And literally the roar was in my ears as it climbed through my backbone. There was a roar, as if you were hearing like the loudest, I don't know, ocean or natural sounds, but a roar. Yeah.
Wow.
And then I was experiencing almost like I wanted to faint. So my bed was over there, and I decided to try to get up so I could have this experience in my bed.
Were you on the couch?
I was on a chair, sitting in a chair
At home?
at home. And so I tried to go to the bed, and I basically had to crawl while all this is going on inside my body. I had to crawl up to the bed. And when I crawled up to the bed, I saw my face in the mirror that was my dresser mirror. And when I looked at my face, it was changing, flickering between every single kind of face and age and race that you could ever imagine. Old lady from China, you know, young boy from Africa, a Chinese person, you know, a white person, just changing on my face. Literally, my face was like morphing, like morphing into these people, or at least visually. And so I got scared, and I said, oh no, oh my God, it's really happening. I'm really having a Kundalini experience. Oh
So
my
you're
God.
educated about this prior. You knew what it was.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I wasn't anywhere near ready to have nirvana, right? I just,
Well, it's not nirvana though, right? It's Kundalini arising.
yes, but apparently you get enlightened and the light bulb in your head, the last chakra opens up and stays open.
But that didn't happen to you though, right?
No, it stopped. As soon as I thought, oh my God, it's happening, it stopped before it went to the enlightened
Wow.
thing. And I think that it stopped because it goes through the chakras that are okay, right? It'll go through all of your chakras. If you were having personal power issues, right? If someone was, say, dominating you, it would probably stop at your stomach. If you were hard-hearted and you didn't know how to love people, it would probably stop here. But with me, it stopped somewhere between my throat and my eyes, my third eye. It stopped there. So then that has been the work. That has been the sacred work for me to clear out the communication channels, to clear out the communication channels, and to me it was the message that I have to communicate with the world, and I have to allow myself to be vulnerable and to tell my story, even though it's going to look like I'm crazy. I don't know what people
what you're
will
saying,
think.
your experience is similar to other Kundalini experiences, right? Correct?
Yeah, and other people,
therefore you don't look crazy.
no, but other people that have Kundalini experiences get sent to the hospital,
Yeah.
and then they're told that they're this or that or that.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because Western culture doesn't know how to accept the abduction experience, the Kundalini experience, and pretty much any mystical experience that people have.
Or maybe
People-
New World Order psychiatry doesn't want to accept it and wants to suppress it, which is a whole other topic.
Probably, right? They don't want people to know that we have all these magical
Correct.
things inside our body, that we have these chakras that are powerful, right? That are very powerful.
Yeah.
And going back to David Livingstone, to me, he was proof that yoga works.
So you got some good
Okay.
things out of him.
He was proof that you can move objects, that you can make rocks hot, that you can call ships.
So I've never known
But he was a
someone
bad
personally-
person.
Yeah, but I've never known someone personally like that. So you got some benefit of actually witnessing this, right?
Yeah, but he was a bad person using his skills for bad things.
But you can learn
Selfishly.
from bad people, right?
Yeah, he was using it to become rich. That's it, right? And I don't.
How did
think-
he die? Any idea?
I don't know. I really have lost all contact with them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were scared of them for one thing. So my friend and I ran away, and we were hidden in the country for a year.
Yeah.
And then we went down to South America for another year. We really tried to get away. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and then that kind of thing scared me. And
weren't you happy to have
it
that
showed me the
experience?
dark side of spirituality, which I had never known,
Oh, yeah.
right? Ever since I was quite young, I started meditating and looking
Yeah.
into the Rosicrucians and and
So I
learning.
guess you regret that you met him then. You regret that you joined this cult.
I don't regret anything
Yeah,
in my
because
life.
you did learn. I mean, it's an incredible experience.
I don't regret anything in my life because everything is a teacher.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? I mean, some things are bad, and you wish that you didn't have to learn them, but,
Because your karma, maybe.
but learning discernment about spiritual groups is probably a really good thing.
Yeah.
Because even people that follow gurus, a lot of gurus are stealing their energy. They're not going to bring them to enlightenment. they're going to use their energy for whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to say this or that. But I'm going to say that I'm my own guru.
Yeah, I'm reading a book
You
right
know.
now called Light of Darkness by Bruce McDowell and Another, and he's saying this in the same book. That
Yeah.
it's about energy, almost like an economy of energy with the left-hand path. It's like an economy.
Yeah, and people, you know, you give to your teacher, you give your love, you give your money, you give support, everything, and you give your energy, right? And what they're doing with that energy may look like one thing, but it may be a completely different thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
In Livingston's case, he was just making himself rich.
But he must have had other
Right.
motives besides money, didn't he?
I don't know.
So this
I don't-
guy, you're saying he was actually not sexually abusing women? Isn't that kind of impressive?
I didn't say that.
But did he?
I said that he tried to hook me up with who he said was my soulmate.
But do you think he was sexually abusing women or taking advantage of them?
He was putting people together from his inner circle with the woman they liked. You know?
Well, he was married. Do you think he was cheating on his wife?
No. I think that was a sacred pact.
So he's pretty good that way compared to other gurus.
But the people around him, he was hooking them up with the women, some of them married like me, who were coming in and saying, that's your soulmate. That guy is your soulmate. You're going to be with him.
Yeah, I'm just saying
And
you're
that
talking,
was
you're
the-
talking
when
about
they-
something completely different.
When they told me that was going to happen, and I had my beautiful husband that I love so much that I wasn't allowed to see,
Yeah.
I left.
Yeah, but you're talking about something completely different.
You know?
You're not talking about his sexual misconduct. So you're saying it was
Well, I
actually
can't
pretty
say
good.
that he had sexual misconduct.
So
How can I say that? I never saw that.
yeah, but what we know today, it's so common. So he's a pretty good guy that way.
Yeah, but I think hooking up your favorite guys to the women they like is pretty much in the same realm, no?
Well, it's just a different thing. Like if he was so spiritual and sacred with his wife, he wasn't committing sexual
Okay,
sin.
and there you are, a young person, possibly a young person, they've just gotten off drugs, and you're working for them. And you're like, oh, guru, right? They split you up from your
Did
husband.
you feel that way? Oh, guru.
Yes, in the beginning, I think I did. Yeah, but it was never full. But, okay, so say that someone's in that state and they really believe in this guy and he's shown them all kinds of magical things that apparently you're going to be able to do, like him. They've split you up from your husband and they tell you, no, that was wrong. You didn't belong together. You know, he was just making way for your soulmate. Your soulmate is this guy.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a guy in his inner circle who just needs a girlfriend.
I wonder.
You know what I mean? Like,
I guess the
and
scientific test
that
is
was
that
the
is-
day that I left.
But decades later, you wonder what are those relationships like now? Did they last?
I don't know what they were.
You wonder. You want
Because
to look at it
that-
scientifically. How
The
did
day
they?
that would have happened to me was the last day that I was with them.
Oh,
I did not agree. I didn't believe that if I was a married woman that I should be with some other guy. I didn't believe that. So I left before it could happen.
reminds you of that hippie time, right? 1970 hippie time. Like you don't see that happening today. Wow. Like in Vancouver, we should tell the audience 4th Avenue here, where we're right now.
Yeah.
Kitsilano was
This
hippie,
was
hippie
totally
central
hippie, yeah.
of the west coast of Canada. This neighborhood.
Yeah, okay, but let's backtrack to hippies for a minute, okay? Hippies were free love, but they were also sovereign. Nobody was telling them that they had to be with this woman. Free love is free love, you know? Even orgies, people were having orgies, but it was their own volition.
I never had that.
It was their own choice. It wasn't like some person telling you that now you're going to be with this one. That's not sovereign. That's not sovereign.
Yeah.
You know? And I've always believed in sovereignty. I have. And that group, what it did to me more than anything is make me realize that I don't want an intermediary between me and God. you know, I'm gonna get my messages from God. I'm gonna make a beeline up this way.
So maybe it helped in this
I'm
sense.
not gonna be horizontal. I'm gonna be vertical to God.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm thinking the lesson it taught you is almost like the very grit in the clam creates the pearl to grow.
What's that?
The very grit inside the clam creates the pearl to grow.
Yes, yes. Yeah, but you know, I did need help later when I had the Kundalini rising, and I did try, and I'm still trying, to find a good Kundalini teacher that will help me to take it all the way. You know, and I've tried several people, and some of the teachers that I've had haven't even had the rising, so they don't really understand how to do it. They can teach you Kundalini yoga, which teaches you the steps to do it, but if you haven't done it yourself, it's pretty hard to take another person further.
I'm taking the recent talk that Jeff gave. He called it the rising, experience of the rising. But aliens did that for him. He was on a ship with aliens.
Well, yeah, apparently they can.
Dissolve his body. That was the rising.
Right, right. Apparently they can activate the chakras and they can do it for you.
That must be what happened to Jeff, I guess.
Possibly. But for me, I hit a certain note, and I really, you know, one of my great interests in life through these crazy experiences have been alternative healing methods, right? And one of the things that I've gotten into a little bit is sound. Sound, because what happened to me came from a sound,
Yeah.
right?
Do you remember which
And so-
syllable it was?
It was A, but it was a certain note. It was like a,
You want to do it for us now? Maybe
No.
we'll dissolve right now.
no.
Uh,
No, I've never found it again. Unfortunately, I have tried.
Did you try? Oh.
If I ever find it again, I promise you that I'll do it. We can do it on camera, but
Okay.
I haven't found it.
I'll give you
And-
$20 if you do it on camera.
If I can do it on camera and get samadhi or get enlightenment, you know,
Jhana would be cool. Jhana. It's like meditation absorption.
I think it'll be more than $20.
It's all I can afford, sir, right now.
No. So, you know, a lot of people have come to realize that the whole thing about UFOs is not nuts and bolts and what kind of metal it was. A lot of it is spiritual. A lot of what happens is spiritual depth.
Yep.
Right? Spiritual training and
Oh,
spiritual
thank you,
depth.
Mimi.
You know, a lot of what happens.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know nuts and bolts. Now with me, when I've done my regressions and I've seen what happened on the ship, oh my God, the technology that was on that ship, we use it now. But this was in 1968, and we didn't have, you know, this kind of technology where you can swipe to move one image from another on a computer.
Touch screen.
Yeah, touch screen. We didn't have that. And that was how Mars was shown to me, was on that kind
Oh,
of...
wait a minute. I'm trying to remember my family's black and white TV when in 1968. I remember touching the screen. Oh, you're right, yeah, I wouldn't swipe. You're
No.
right. This is...
No, but the other thing about when the aliens showed me Mars and everything that was happening on it, is that it was kind of like virtual reality, like RV, you know, VR, and I was looking at it. I was aware that I was sitting in a chair with the alien, and he was swiping, and we were seeing images. So there was part of my consciousness that was still out here, but I was totally inside the picture, like VR.
Are you talking about April 1968?
Yeah,
This is your recollection through hypnosis, I mean.
through regression.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and so I had the consciousness that I was with the alien. I didn't have the consciousness that I was with a regressionist. I had the consciousness that I was with the alien.
I think that's in our first video, the first 2 hours.
Yeah,
right?
and then when he swiped and I looked, I went in like VR. I was in the scene.
Virtual reality.
Right, I was watching. So
Like the holodeck in Star Trek or something?
something, you know, so now I'm thinking, wow, it was even more than just touch screen. It was VR. It was a virtual reality technology that they were using also, right? Somehow. And also there were no spoken words, so it was telepathic. So there was a way for them to communicate with me telepathically. And yeah, and there was a lot of joy in seeing these things. It was a joyful experience.
Wow.
So
This is just a few hours before your uncle got really upset with you.
yeah. Yeah. So I have a completely different experience than, you know, with my tall beings, tall light beings with the white hair, than people have with the grays. Because a lot of the experiences that people have with grays are, you know, reproductive, poking around and doing things in test tubes. I didn't have any of that. So, you know, sometimes I think that they might have enhanced me a little bit. Somehow, maybe telepathic, you know, that sort of thing, like mind tune-ups, but not so much, you know, anything reproductive.
Oh, okay.
And I know you've asked me about my kids, and my kids are not aliens and they're not hybrids. They're absolutely not, right?